But um, what we'd like to do is introduce ourselves and give a sense of what the workshop is, and what it involves, what it targets, and then I'd love to, I think we both love to open it to questions. So just to kick us off, I'm Philip Shepard, co-director of the Embodied Present Process, which is what we call this work. And you know, it's a funny name, but the essence of it is to say, it's not that the present is out there and you're in here and somehow you have to join it. The present is in and through you in every moment. You embody the present. And that's really the kernel of the work we do. AW?
I am Allison, Philip's partner in many, many ways. We just had our 34th wedding anniversary, which boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Philip really takes the Radical Wholeness Workshop on himself, so I'll let him do most of the talking, but I share the practices through workshops focused on breath and movement and embodiment, and through one-on-one coaching. Um, and also helping, so I support women through pregnancy in not so much like a doula, but more as a coach, helping people come back into their bodies and access the support and wisdom available to them through such an epic transition. Um, and yeah, happy to answer any questions now or later online. So take it away, Philip.
Take it away, indeed. um, so just to give a basic sense of the workshop, it is experiential. The 2 days of the workshop um, involve a series of practices, and in subtle ways, the practices, each practice sort of prepares the way for the next. They accumulate, they build on one another. Um, and ultimately, the hope is that they build towards the possibility of a new way of being. And what I mean by that is, for thousands of years, we have denigrated the body and internalized the message that up is good and we should live in the head should take charge. And the problem with that is that the head and the head's intelligence feel separate from the world. They sort of observe the world out there, and we get stuck in a way of living that is alienated and damaging, not just to ourselves but to the world around us. And with all the challenges we face personally and culturally at large, it seems to me that the central issue is our way of being. It's not that we need new technology or more information. It's just to come back to this life, to our bodies, to the the ways of understanding through the body how deeply we belong to the world around us. So um the problem we face is trying to navigate that journey when we've been raised in a culture that is so chronically disembodied. What it leads to, in many, many ways, is an approach to embodiment that is hemmed in or contained by what is familiar to us. And so we seek to be embodied, for example, by learning to listen to the body. And sure, there's value in listening to the body, but don't mistake that for embodiment. And you think about the metaphor, listen to your body, it's saying, you live separate from your body, separated, in fact, by a wall of some sort. And the best you can do is put your ear to that wall to listen to what's happening on the other side of it, as if self and body were two separate worlds. So our quest, our desire to navigate our way back to the body is thwarted by assumptions that we've taken in, before we were old enough even to question them. And so there's this standard of normal that is really, really difficult to hold to account because we have habituated to it. And we're taught in 1,000 ways that the head should be in charge, that the self and the head are almost the same thing, that if you freeze the head and put it into a new body, the self will come back to life 100 years hence, or whatever. The self is not contained in the head. The self is inseparable from our embodied experience of the world. And the head's intelligence, as I said, tends to sit separate from the world. The body is our bridge to the world. It's through our sensational experience of this moment and this breeze and this bird call, whatever it might be, that locate us in the present. So if you live in the head, as we're taught to do, you feel alone, alienated, estranged from the world around you. And it's only by coming back to the body that you understand the world as the body feels it. And the body understands that it belongs. I can feel the presence of a tree. And when I feel that through the body, there is this sort of unambiguous sense that we belong to each other. And what the body most deeply feels is the present. That's what it feels. And here we are struggling to be present by orchestrating a sort of journey with the head. And to come back to the body requires a series of little surrenders. But then again, how do you surrender when you are unaware of the possibilities of what that surrender might entail? So the workshop clarifies those possibilities. And rather than living in the head and trying to connect with the present from the head, the workshop, in 100 little ways, helps us notice where the body is being compromised, is being interrupted, where its intelligence is being diminished or demeaned or neglected. There are all these little habits of breath, of relationship, of energy. Until you feel that habit taking over, you're not aware of it. If you're not aware of a habit, it will never change. Once you become aware of a habit, it's already started to change. Your awareness of it cannot happen without promoting change of some sort. So in this head-based culture of ours, we have a commitment to doing, and that's our obsession: what to do, how to do it, how to get it done. And somehow we've internalized the idea that the body's intelligence interferes with our doing. And the reality is that our doing can be supported by the whole of our being. And when the whole of your being is behind something you're doing, there is a sense of effortlessness. There is a sense of being in the flow or being in the zone. And you're not busy second guessing yourself and correcting yourself and judging yourself. So just briefly, I'd like to look at being, because there, in our neglect of being, we have changed our body. It's like the head has taken charge of the body and organized it in a way that is detrimental to our experience of being. So there are 5 qualities of being that seem really relevant to me in this regard. Being is fluid. There is nothing in the world, nothing in the universe that is not in flow. Even the molecules in granite are in flow. They're in flow more slowly than the molecules of a tree, but everything is in flow. And you are 65, 70% water. You literally contain a little ocean within you. And to experience your own fluidity is to open that ocean to all the life-giving exchanges that can happen within it when the body is fluid. But we tend to harden the body and chop it up and compartmentalize it so that its fluidity is compromised. And it's not a matter of how do I achieve fluidity. It's already there. You are fluid. You're mostly water. So the issue is how to surrender to your own fluidity and to feel it in flux, the life of your being in its fluid nature. So fluidity is an element of being. Another quality of being is groundedness. So being, as we know it, has a relationship to the earth, a tree, a flower, an animal, a bird, and you have been at rest on the earth since the day you were born. And yet we've been taught to mistrust the earth. I mean, that's where we place hell, is beneath our feet, and heaven is up there. And our energy goes higher and higher. We tend to hold our energy in the chest or the upper torso. And you might ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt at rest on the earth? And to come to rest on the earth is to partake of its strength and its presence. And again, this isn't something to achieve. It's there. It is inherent in your life. You have always been at rest on the earth. Then the question is how to surrender to that reality and feel it and let it be a part of your day-to-day living. Excuse me. Another quality of being is spaciousness. Everything is mostly empty space. I can hold up a spoon and it's hard and firm, but to look inside the spoon with the eye of a physicist is to see 99.9% empty space. And you are mostly empty space. And to experience your inner spaciousness is again to come back to your being, to the true nature of it. And it's your inner spaciousness that basically makes you available to the present. When the body feels congested and bolstered and resistant, that puts the present out there and you in here. And to surrender once again to your nature, to the spaciousness of your being, is to undo the flimsy border that seems to separate you from the present, and simply feel it running through you. The fourth of these qualities of being is centeredness. Everything has a center. If I toss this spoon in the air, it would rotate around its center. Nature tends to move through this dance of complementary opposites, which very often expresses itself in a spiral. And every spiral has a center. And the earth has a center. And our galaxy has a black hole at its center. And you have a center. And what's happened in our culture is we've tried to dislocate from our center and establish it in the head. And no wonder our lives feel off balance. And that's the difference between the sort of bounded inside the box attempts at embodiment within our culture that urge us to listen to the body, which again has value. But there are so many other cultures that feel their center in the body, in the heart, or in the belly. And they feel their thinking in the belly. And they feel the world from there. And, that used to be the case in European cultures. Way back in the early Neolithic, we were belly centered as a culture. And by Homer's day, our center was in the chest. By Plato's day, it had migrated up into the head. And we've been there ever since. So again, your center is there. It's not a matter of making it happen or creating it. It's there. How to undo the cultural patterns that have distanced you from it. And the last of these 5 qualities is attunement. Everything attunes to everything else. Everything is in harmony with everything else. The exquisite sensitivity with which all the world is felt through the body is made possible by the body's fluidity, by its groundedness, by its spaciousness, by its center. So all of those qualities of being make possible an attunement to the present that at a certain time is what enabled us to survive. And we went from attuning to the present, attuning to the world, to organizing the world, even as we've taken to organizing ourselves. And I just a brief diversion. There's a nation off the islands that trail off Alaska, separating the Bering Sea from the Pacific, called the Aleut Nation. And there's an Aleut elder, Ilarion Merculiev, gorgeous guy. And he talks about as a kid walking down, and the elders, the hunters, would be there, sitting on rocks, facing the ocean in stillness. And they weren't daydreaming, they were present, feeling the world. And they could be there for hours and hours. And then one of them might say, sea lion coming. And all the heads would turn and face in the same direction. Now, the sea lion might be 10 miles offshore. It's not that it could be seen, but its presence could be felt. That attunement is manifest in Aboriginal cultures around the world, to feel the animals in the world around you, to feel water when it's needed, to feel its presence, to feel the medicines that are being offered by the plants of your world. And we have contracted from that attunement and lost the deeper harmony that we might live by. So anyway, the practices of the workshop are designed to help you encounter the little habits that desensitize you to the qualities of being, to that attunement. And once you encounter those habits, they begin to dissolve. And it's such a relief for me anyway to come back to the security and the belonging and the ease of the body and not be trying to outthink my circumstances. I almost never make decisions because when I drop into the body and feel the possibilities, the body knows there is an impulse that feels right, and I have learned to trust it. So that's kind of a general shape or context for the workshop. And boy, Allison or I would be very happy to answer any questions or comments or whatever might come up. And there's several ways to do it. You can, at the bottom of the screen, there's a little reactions button. And if you click on that, puts up a little hand. Or you can go in the chat and either chat, type in a question or just say, I've got one.
Okay.
Or you can just
Unmute
unmute
yourself.
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Philip
Yeah.
and Allison. I haven't met you yet, but Philip, Scott and I are coming to the workshop. We're all signed up. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to travel. We've got some family, and we're really looking forward to it. I met you a lot of years ago at the International Enneagram Conference. You were a keynote speaker, and I have to say I'll never forget it because you put us through an exercise or guided us through an exercise to contact our pelvic bowl. And I have to say, and I'm not exaggerating, it's probably one of the most profound embodied experiences I've ever had. I can still remember it. It was like, wow, wow. And so I've wanted to attend one of your live workshops. I've signed up online, but I've never really kind of jumped into the online. I'm much more embodied in-person person. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm at a place where I really want to explore my body. I realize how, my head goes into flow state all the time and it's intoxicating, but I leave my body out a lot. And I'd really like to be able to relax more in life. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we live in our heads,
Mhm.
we are so busy organizing, and what we do is we live through most of our days kind of thinking about our own thoughts. We're refining our own thoughts, right? And we don't feel the world around us. And in my experience anyway, there is in every moment, it's like a hand that is there ready to guide me forward, ready to help me take the next step.
Yeah.
And if you don't, if you're not in your body, you don't feel that guidance. And then all you can do is organize yourself from the head, and you go
Yeah.
round and round and round.
Yeah. So do you do a lot of breathing work? Do you touch on the vagus nerve at all? I've been working with my vagus nerve and it's kind of getting me into my body.
Yeah. So the workshop goes through 4 themes. And the first theme is breath. That's the first morning. And then the theme of the first afternoon is rest. And we don't know how to come to rest. And that's really, the vagus nerve is what helps us do that. I don't talk about the vagus nerve, but I've got a whole series of practices that facilitate that.
Okay.
And then the themes of the second day are receptivity and integration. And then that last theme, the hope is it all pulls together.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm so looking forward to it.
I so look forward to seeing you in person. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And Samuel.
Hi, actually it's pronounced Samuel there.
Thank you. I was going to ask. Yeah, took a shot at it.
Good to know you're familiar with the Enneagram. That's a huge body of wisdom that's I work with all the time. So I took your recalibrating the self. I find the languaging of that you've just gone through of the 5 qualities to be so assistive in my own work. So, do you expand upon the recalibrating the self exercises in the workshop? How is it different? Or
Oh, there's so many practices that can only be done in person. So in recalibrate, I think all of the practices you can do just sitting in a chair, basically.
right.
And the practices in the workshop are really not sitting in a chair. So yes, there's a whole range of practices that are not in recalibrate because they can't be. Yeah. And so, the workshop has a couple of things that I don't know how to do online. One is to help people catch in the moment when a habit comes up. And I know for myself, if I'm learning something, I'm learning how to play tennis, and the tennis coach says, you're not pulling your arm back before you hit the ball. And I can say, oh yeah, no, that I'll try to remember that. But then if he catches me in the moment, you're not pulling your arm back. It just makes all the difference. So the workshop has that ability to say, right there, did you notice that? And in the discussions, in the questions that come up, there is such a rich exchange because it's so easy to misunderstand or not completely understand. And I have a limited ability to anticipate how that's happening. And so, a question from someone might illuminate an issue for everyone. So the exchanges are very rich.
Very good. So I'm in San Francisco. I see this actually in the East Bay. Oh, the first, I think the first notice of it I got was kind of said it's 9 to 4, but then lower it says 10 to 5. You usually do it.
Oops. It's 9 to 4.
It's 9 to 4 because
Thank
the
you.
venue. Yeah, thank you. The venue was booked at 5 for something else.
Oh, I see.
And so all of our workshops tend to be 10 to 5 because that suits me and people seem to go along with it. But
yeah,
this
much more suitable to me.
Well, we're on the same page. But there just wasn't that possibility here.
I see.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us know about that.
Updated.
She's fast.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Happy to take any other questions. Omid, I'll see you at Cincinnati. That's wonderful. I just saw your note. Thank you. And we're happy to field any comments or questions that might come up at all. And it looks like Andre had a question. Did you have a question, Andre?
I just needed to find where to unmute myself on the phone first. Hi.
Hey, Andre. I should let people know. Andre and I wrote a book together. I don't know if I have a copy of it, called Deep Fitness. that talks about a workout. Oh, Allison has a copy of it. So we are co-authors of the book, and it talks about an approach to fitness that has been a life changer for me, and it's one that Andre introduced me to, so I am eternally grateful.
Thank you. And similarly from my end, I am eternally grateful for you guys introducing me to, let's say, your work, but more, it's not about the work itself. It's about, the experiences as you describe, the state of being, and it's real. So I've done several of Philip's Radical Wholeness Workshops. I did his facilitator training. And then, COVID happened. I went back into my head trying to keep my business alive and so on. But the work never really, even though I stopped doing those practices day-to-day basis, which I used to do. But it's always stuck with me because it's there as real. And then in some other life circumstances, it pops up and it's like pulls me back because I know I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, other than it's real, it's there. We just kind of lost connection to, that state of being and presence. But once you felt it, once you had a taste of it, you can't forget it, right? So here I am again. I just had some free time. I saw Philip Allison doing this chat. I thought I would, say hello. And yeah, I would highly, highly recommend. There is nothing quite like that you guys have experienced. So doing those 2 days, you will see like it's so different and so worth it. Yeah.
Thank you, Andre. Philip, you're muted. Someone needs to unmute.
Can you hear me now? I was just thanking Andre for that. It's been such a wonderful journey, and we allotted half an hour for this call, and we've gone slightly over, but if there are other questions or comments, we're happy to make room for them.
I wanted to just add about the workshop that one thing I think we forget to talk about is that the voice is a big part of what the workshop offers people. So the opportunity to discover what it is for the voice to come from deep within the body. And it can be an exquisite encounter with the self. And that's sort of woven into many of the practices. It's not a sort of a section, but it's integral to the work. And I think that is a profound help to people.
Yeah, thank you for that, because we are taught to speak in a disembodied way. And unless an embodiment practice includes the voice, then every time you go to speak, you're going to be deferring to habits of disembodiment. And again, we don't recognize that within ourselves. It's very difficult to recognize because it's how everyone around us is speaking, and it feels normal not to speak from the body. I can go into the head and speak from here. And this is how I was taught to speak, from the head. And at this point, it just feels horrible to do that. I'm not feeling what I'm speaking from. So anyway, thank you for that, Allison. I should remember to include that in future. It's been a pleasure being with you all. If there are no more questions, oh, please, Steve, yeah. Are you able to unmute?
Yeah, Have you had any interaction with a fellow named Bill Plotkin?
I
I know
know,
you.
I know of him, but no, I've never had the pleasure. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I know when you talk about the Enneagram and being at a workshop, I know that you're interfacing with a lot of people, and I think it's great. And that his work and your work are where I'm steeping these days. So
Yeah, and I've been told people have taken the workshop who've come from his work, and I've been told there's such a complementarity between his
yeah,
work and mine. Someday I'll hope to have the chance to meet him. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. And thank you one and all. Any last minute questions or comments?
One quick question is, what's the maximum size of the workshop, or what do you go for?
18.
18? Okay.
Yeah, so it remains a really intimate experience, which is important to me. I don't want a room full of 50 people. I can't
Yeah.
get to know them. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, lots of love to you all. Thanks for joining us. And we'll hope to see you soon. Some of you I will see soon, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, fantastic. Feel free
Looking
to
forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, Anne. Thank you. Feel free to unmute
Yeah.
and call out hello, goodbye, and
thank
we'll
you for sending out the emails alerting these ongoing